just for background, we will play something. Just for
I think that we will start. So just first, a couple of words about logistics. So please keep your sound off. We will spotlight the speakers during the conversation. And everybody in the audience, please feel free to keep your cameras on and off as you prefer. There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end, but you can write questions in the chat at any time. If you'd like to ask a question in person during the Q&A period, please raise your hand so that we can see you. And obviously the speakers will try to answer as many questions as the time will allow. So let's start.
Hello, this is Puuluup.
Hello.
Yes.
Are we spotlighting speakers? Yes? Okay.
The speakers are spotlighted.
Oh, not on my, okay, not on my screen, fine. I'm glad to welcome Puuluup folk duo Raamo Teder and Marko Väisänen at Penn. Thanks to the sponsorship of Russian East European Studies and Global Medieval and Renaissance Studies. So in lieu of a traditional introduction, I would like to start out by asking a question about the name, Puuluup. What does it mean?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Puuluup, well, puu in Estonian means a tree or also wood. So we have wooden instruments called talharpa, actually.
Or hiiukannel.
Yeah, they have many names.
Yes.
And loop refers to looping because we are using a lot of looping and other electronical effects. So Puuluup somehow combines these things, but also it sounds well and
It's falling through.
And
I noticed that trees, kind of the theme of trees is at least in your clips. So anything about anything special?
Yeah, it's true that we sing a lot about trees. Well, it just happens to be like that, and yeah, and that's why a lot of forestry companies are also asking us to perform at their parties, but not only them. So and there is a song, for example, Kasekesed, where we have a lot of birch trees, and maybe we can start with watching that video and then comment it a little bit and discuss other issues. And
Если ветерок ветеруется, а вода волнами волнуется, что с тобой я с тобой опять одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим. Kus on minu kaaseke, metsas on, kus on minu kaasekesed, kus on minu kaasekesed, kus on minu kaasekesed, metsas on, kus on minu kaasekesed. Музыка по нас темпу. Чем турбует команда Ворка. Она сама нету паста, она бурба на мою куле. На мя. Если форточка не закроется, а вода волнами волнуется, замужненской водой. Опять одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим, тобой одержим. И мои березики, они в лесу, и мои березики.
So I hear a lot of languages. So I hear a little bit Russian, I hear a little bit Estonian, and something else. Can you maybe speak a little bit about the linguistic setup of your songs?
Well, yes, we express ourselves in the all possible ways, and so we do mix languages, but just because we feel so. And in Estonia, it's of course we speak Estonian, but for example, my grandfather was a Russian Jew, so I was speaking Russian with him, and there are a lot of Russian speakers in Estonia, so it's not very common to sing both in Estonian and in Russian in one song these days, but it also already maybe it's becoming more popular. Even there was one other band 1 or 2 years ago which became very popular and integrated very well Estonian and Russian communities with this kind of approach. So it's not like it's not something that we plan to do, that we need to sing in both languages. It's just something that comes out, and yes. And also we use some languages which we are sure that exist somewhere, but we don't know yet where. And we sometimes think that okay, text is important, but meaning is more important. So if you want to say something, it doesn't matter if you don't have the text, you can still say it if you don't have the correct language or correct words. Mm-hmm. And very often after our lives, people come and ask about the language. So they say that, okay, we understand that you sing in Estonian and sometimes in Finnish or Russian, but what are the other languages? And then they start to guess and say that, oh, I'm sure I heard some Portuguese or Czech language or Czechish or some other languages. So we get surprised by the audience.
So are you inspired by any specific languages? And
Well,
how can you remember if it's something that doesn't belong to any language? How do you remember the lyrics?
Oh, it's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. So mostly we improvise, but we have some like in chorus or in these places where we need to sing two of us together, like in two voices, and then we need to remember what sort of text or syllables we have. So, but if it's not chorus, if I'm singing alone, then I'm just improvising, and there is never a problem that I will forget the words because I can just say what comes to mouth. Yeah.
So, for example, this song about trees. So there's some meaningful phrases there. Если форточка не откроется, вы мои березоньки. So I can only speak about Russian, but probably Estonian. Does it have some theme?
Well, it's
choruses.
Yes, this kus on minu kasekesed, it means where
are you, my dear birch trees?
Yes. So it can be about different issues, but we just improvised and we found this chorus, and it somehow reminds very very much some traditional Estonian folk songs where you have this kind of kasekesed is like diminutive for birch trees. So where are you, my dear birch trees? So it's very typically a little bit like folk song text, but also you can think about it in many other ways. Like for example, in Estonia, there are a lot of issues about how much forest you should cut really. And so that can be somehow connected to this topic also. Yeah, so in some songs we do have like very clear text and very proper text, and maybe for example in the next one that we can see. But in this kasekesed, it's more improvisation and just more about the atmosphere than giving some proper actual explicit meaning with the text. So there are many ways to interpret it. But the next video, it's going to be. It's called Puuluup, the windmill at Puhjatown, or actually it's inspired by this wind turbine that creates electricity. You know? So we call it a love song about wind turbines, or more generally like a love song about the love towards technological objects. And
Oh, sorry.
Iga päev tormad sa puhja kohal ringi, keerutad tolmu, kissitan silmi, hakitad tükkideks lindude parvi, triibutad siniste pilvele. Iga päev tormad sa puhja kohal ringi, keerutad tolmu, kissitan silmi, hakitad tükkideks lindude parvi, triibutad siniste pilvele karvi. Iga päev tormad sa puhja kohal ringi, kui keerutad tolmu, kissitan silmi, hakitad tükkideks lindude parvi, triibutad siniste pilvede korvi, iga päev tormad sa Puhja kohal ringi, kui keerutad tolmu, kissitan silmi, hakitad tükkideks lindude parvi, triibutad siniste pilvede su tiivikul lavadel päikene helgib, iga kord Viljandi bussis sind vaatan, kui tuhanded nelgid taansid saada. Su tiivikul lavadel päikene helgib, iga kord Viljandi bussis sind vaatan, tuhanded nelgid taansid saada. Puhja tuulik, Puhja tuulik, Puhja tuulik. Turbaväljade kohal ma lendan.
So this song does have lyrics, right?
Yes. Yeah. So
Can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
yeah. So it's there is this small town called Puhja, which is somewhere in the southern or central or southern Estonia, and there is one very nice, beautiful electric turbine that creates a wind turbine that creates electricity. So and yeah, so there is only one of these kind of like wind turbines in South Estonia, I guess. So that's why we thought it's important to sing about it. Otherwise, if you go to the seaside in the West Estonia, you see a lot of them, and people don't love them that much. But and the video was shot in Viljandi, which is well, it's a small town, but for Estonia, it's quite a big one. Like 20,000 people in it, and it's also a place where Ramo is from, and I'm also working there in Viljandi. So Viljandi is also a very important like capital of Estonian folk, I guess. It is where about 25-30 years ago this a sort of revival of folk music in Estonia started. And you didn't see many people in the video, just there was one lady appearing on the street, and that was just
Very usual.
very
Typical,
common. Yeah. It was, I guess, maybe just Sunday afternoon at Viljandi.
So there's a question in the chat actually. So the passerby woman, was she staged or just spontaneous?
No, nothing was staged. That was one car and one lady. They are there. There is somebody else also lives in Viljandi, but they were all inside.
So, can you tell us maybe more about the instrument itself, its past and its present? We can start with the past.
Sure. Yeah, so Ramo will soon also explain the playing technique, but we can say that it's a medieval instrument that was very common in Scandinavia and maybe in more places, but I think you can find it in Trondheim, yes, from the 13th century, a statue, some person playing this instrument, but it died out mostly everywhere except in the really peripheral areas like in Karelia, in Finland, and also in Estonia on one island which was inhabited by Estonian Swedes. So these Estonian Swedes played it, and it's called talharpa in this Swedish, and it has had this very somehow dramatic history that on the 19th century, in 1870s, there was a religious awakening at Vormsi Island. There was a missionary from Sweden, Lars Johan Österblom. He came and somehow modernized this Vormsi Swedish community. So people started to, he brought very many like progressive ideas with him, like about hygiene and about building chimneys, for example, in the houses, and starting to have like wooden floors and cleaning the floors, and also about moral, like these folk costumes they changed. They started to clothe properly their when women started to use more like closed clothing, and also they decided that playing this talharpa is not really a good thing for a Christian to do. So it was called the devil instrument, and it was explained that okay, you may play, but if you play this instrument, then in your grave when you're dead, your fingers will start to move in the grave because you have been playing it. So people were taking it very seriously, and they gathered most of these instruments. They gathered them, put them all in the fire. So they made a huge fire out of these, which was I think common. I've heard in Sweden also about violins, the same type of thing.
Also.
And in Finland,
yeah.
yes.
Finland, this short area in Karelia where they played this instrument. In Finnish name for this is jouhikko, and that happened same story exactly.
Yeah.
Religious stopped somehow.
Mm-hmm. So only a few players were still playing them, and about 100 years ago or a bit more, they started to collect this Vormsi Swedish folklore, and these ethnomusicologists and folklorists who went there, they tried to find people who played. They managed to find only a few, and what we do have is some songs from that area, from that period, and we can maybe also play them to demonstrate what a typical like a devil's song would
Sounds,
sounds, yes, because it was played and it sounds quite not very loud, and it was played in small houses, in small rooms, but like on any occasion, on the weddings and in the pubs always. Should we just, for example, give a short demonstration about the very traditional Vormsi dance?
Should I show the technique of the playing before?
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, Ramo will explain the technique.
Yes, because the instrument itself is wooden box. It doesn't has neck. It's just wooden box where is 2, 3, or 4 strings on it. So, and every player made his instrument himself, and it was very different kind of shapes. And I have another 3 strings instrument here, which is totally looks different than these which we use. We use prototype from the Vormsi Island, Estonian. One guy did something like this, and so, but this was common also kind of they did different frames and everything. So, and as it doesn't has neck, the playing style is that we put fingers between strings and touching by fingers. It's not pressing strings, but only touching. Yeah, and right way to play it was touching only by backside of the fingers, because backside here is bones and inside is pillows. The pillows doing not so good sound as the bones doing. They quest that all players old way used only the backside of the fingers, and that is very, very strange and very kind of rare techniques for a play for the backside. Of course, we use now both sides as it's much more comfortable and faster, but the difference comes out when you play pizzicato. Now, it's bow instrument. The bow is also very, very simple one. It's just branch of the rowan tree, where is horsehair strings, just horsehair.
Horsetail. Yeah.
Horsetail is just soft way, and we put one or two fingers between bow, between the here, and we somehow strike by fingers. There is no mechanism.
What was also interesting is that this name talharpa refers actually also that, to the fact that the strings were made out of horsehair also. So now we have some different materials here used, but the most traditional one is horsehair or gut string.
And the playing style is just somehow we press and search the good kind of touch by bow, touching by like this. And if I touch string by fingers, string goes to the shoulder. When it goes to the shoulder, tones go up. So I demonstrate very fast. If I play my first string by billows, by inside of the fingers, like it sounds like this. If I play by bones outside, backside of the fingers, just small difference.
Very important difference, and well, it also depends on the diet. When I am playing, it doesn't make any difference, but Ramo has really some sort of more bony structure here. So he's on a special. We are both on a special diets, but and it's like very specific issue and topic between Estonian and Finnish players, because there is one master, Rauno Nieminen. He has also made our instruments. Yeah. So if you like the instrument, you can contact him. But he wants us to play with the backside of the fingers. So it's like more traditional.
Telling just only right way is play only by backside.
Yes. So the Finnish players play with the backside. Estonians nowadays with the inside, and there is a cultural materialist explanation for that, because in there was a revival of this instrument on the 90s. Yeah. So the tradition was dead. In 90s we found it again and started to play. So that's also why we call our style a zombie folk, because it was dead and now it's living. And in the 90s, in this post-Soviet Estonia, people were very poor and didn't have enough food. So we were so skinny that it didn't make any difference if we play with the inside or outside of the fingers. Not like Finns who had a good life there. So that's why we use it. Should we play a traditional tune from Vormsi Island, just to make an example, just to give an example of how this traditional tune sounds like?
So can I ask, or did you want to say something?
No.
So we, in the video, we hear a lot of sounds, many more than the instruments. Can you a little bit talk about how you create this effect?
Yeah, we are keeping this kind of method. We use sounds only from our voice, and also only from this instrument. So we're using lots of effects for taking more atmospheric things, and using my looper also in play in the concerts and also in recordings.
Yeah, so we only use this instrument plus electronic
effects and looper.
And looping. So if you are interested, Ramo can also demonstrate the idea of looping. Yeah.
Should I demonstrate looper?
Just
looper.
very quickly.
Very short. I'm sure here is somebody who knows what is looper, but I should go fast. Maybe I should move it a bit more for visible. Yeah. So this thing is loop station, and if you don't know at all about this, it's only kind of another word for this is repeating machine. So usually our instruments are connected there. We have one microphone is connected there, so we can also sing there, we can play there, we can knock there. Usually we're doing some different drum sounds and knocking some with echoes, some rhythms there. And the loop station meaning is that if I press first key, first pedal, it start to record. When I press it again, it's stopping recording and started to play from beginning. So start to repeat this between two pressing area. This I demonstrate. I play it from maybe, and I press again. Now I started to loop it. So it's very easy way. I can stop it. I can start to play it again. And then if I want to kind of overdub it, start to play it, then I press it just once more and start to play it. So somehow easy way to get very fast some short.
Yeah, it's very useful therapeutical instrument. It's recommended by therapeutes against loneliness. So if you feel lonely or alone and you don't like it for some reason, then you can get a looping station and fill your room with other people playing there, or this kind of effect. Yeah.
Very fast to get full of musicians. Feeling.
So in Estonia we have very few people, and so we need to create this effect, and it of course makes this band thing a bit much more inexpensive, yeah, because we had 100 talharpa players in our band, and it sounded very nice, but nobody invited us to some concerts abroad, so we kicked this 98 out of our band and took a looping station instead.
Well, now it's not a problem. I understand, because you're quite popular, and you don't. You probably have more invitations than you can go to places, and you collect a lot of people at the festivals. And I just wondering if we can speak more about define yourself as a folk duo. But there's a folk movement, which in Estonia, which is quite different from what folk movement is in other countries and in America. And maybe we can watch this clip of little episodes from one of the festivals. Actually, I've just realized the last festival that was allowed to happen in person from the summer of 2019.
Yeah.
And then you can tell us more about this folk movement and.
Okay, good idea.
Get the water, get даже лайка. Keda moču pulista Puuluupi laika. Ramonas pastakas, vormsi palalaika. Markonas veisonas, chapuraika tavaika. Huokne taivaa kosmoksesta pois ja Facebookin laika. Kos on minu kaasikkeset viip, kos on minu kaasikkeset viip. Metsas on, kus on minu kaasikkeset. Too wicked, I can't some money. I better when I know so just so much. Tiivikulla vaadab päikene helgib. Iga kord Viljandi, kus siis sind vaatan. Tuhanded nelgid. Tahan sind saada. Vinina-mina-na. Жовтина мене Соня, є на умі на мене, є не до бунави. Lambario, seda ramsi ja nelloime. Kirilejo, halem nambo. Kus kasvanud üle pealt, ära küll heidani. Heida, kus kasvanud üle pealt, ära küll heidani.
Yes, that's Viljandi Folk Music Festival.
Typical feeling from Viljandi Folk Music Festival.
And that was, I think, about almost 27 or 29 years ago when this first festival happened in beginning of 90s, and it marked somehow like a small revolution in the attitude towards folk music in Estonia. So that was somehow inspired by these folk movements in Finland and Sweden and also Ireland. So there were a few enthusiasts who started this festival, and they opened also a program in Viljandi, very good study folk music in university level, and somehow became very popular. This festival became very huge and started to also influence the way people understand folk music. So now it's if you're playing folk music and you mix it a little bit with some other styles, then it's quite common that you find these kind of bands that mix folk music with something else. You find these bands in like the playing in the A category stars in Estonia, so they can it's great, and it's somehow so common that you don't necessarily have to very seriously define yourself as a folk musician. It's just a part of this general musical genre, and it's
some years ago, the most played song in 1 year was totally folk song from Girly Strings.
From the band called Girly Strings, and also, for example, this Viljandi Folk Music Festival is every summer when it happens, it's visited by Estonian president of Estonia, and we had this honor that she opened our performance. So she came there and
exactly
the one live you saw now, yeah. So she said hello, have a nice festival, and let's have Puuluup now. So it kind of shows how popular we are, but it also shows how nice small place is Estonia, that you can very easily get into contact with the president or somebody like that. So it's not a very difficult thing to do. Yes. So you're all welcome to when this pandemic is over. We're going to play this year also in Viljandi, so hopefully it will happen.
Festival. Recommended very.
You could also see a lot of young people there. It's just this typical rock or indie or whatever pop festival feeling. A lot of young people and yes.
I was also wondering if you can tell us more about, so going to festivals is just one part of your occupation. You also make these clips. So maybe we can play another clip and you can tell us a little bit more about behind the scenes, what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, so putting next one.
That is from our album, I guess, Süüta mu lumi, yeah? Which is, the song is called Süüta mu lumi, which means light my snow.
Räägime ansamblist Puuluup. Teil on ju 2 hiiukannelt ja sellised elektroonilised asjad, mikrofonid ja luuper ja mis seal on. Aga enne kui rääkida nendest pillidest, ma tahaks küsida, et kuidas te selle koosseisuni jõudsite, et ma kusagilt lugesin, et
Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Laupäeva hommikul vedel laual, ärkane natuke pearingi käib, raadios Mari kalkulit laulab, raha külmutus kapi pealt läinud. Kuuri võiks minema selleks, et tuua korvi täis puid, et tuua saaks soe, kuid ma ei lähe, sest õuest mind luurab, naabri ei tõelda, kuri on koer. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Hangede hembus veel unes on meeles, haprate sildade reetlikud read, üle ja paksu ja praatunud keele, lõikavas vaikuses köisima sean, kuid ka sellest on kasu, langeb kui jää, kõiki kaasamid veab, ehmatus summutab lumi ja lasu, hangede hembuses kohtume seal. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit on. Süüta mu lumi ja mu lumi ainult siit. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi. Süüta mu lumi.
Yeah, so thank you. So this is Süüta mu lumi means light my snow, and the video was shot by Taavi, or directed by Taavi Arus. He has he's the author of 3 of our video clips. Yes, so that was the first one that we made together, and it was like the first serious video that we did with Puuluup. So I think we were not very sure what how to behave and what to do in a music video. So we thought that yeah, if you're looking at the video, then you probably think that it's the artist who is behind all these ideas that are there, but it's also a director or directors or other people who influence and give some ideas. So I remember that I was a little bit sick at that day, so I was very satisfied with his recommendation that I should just lay on the table and let the snow like pour on me, and Ramo was doing all this action and almost got in the conflict with some drunk guys from Viljandi who came out from bar. Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
So it's a very dangerous thing to shoot the video in the nighttime. But and in the other video, like in the first one that you saw, Kasekesed, that was our second video that we made with this director. So we already felt that we have to put some our ideas, and he was very willing to listen and discuss them. And so it was both or most of our videos are shot in Viljandi town, but in all four, yes. And of course, this first one had also Tartu in it, which is the town where I live actually. Yeah. So and some you can see some references to this post-Soviet architecture and this dacha, or this small gardens where people grow things, and that are kind of not there anymore. I guess they build something new there, yeah. So it's somehow when you start doing music, you don't maybe necessarily think that you should be able also to do videos, and it's going to be you, and people will, yeah, think that. But it's quite important these days that you should know what to do in the videos, and if you're not directing it yourself, you should give some ideas. Otherwise, you're just acting there, and people will anyways think that it is your idea.
No, for me, all these videos we are crewed up, surrounded kind of this kind of areas, kind of this beton Russian block houses somewhere next to the forest, and it's kind of nature and this beton blocks, Russian styles. All this is our childhood, our kind of what we
common background,
and it's also very natural to do these things.
Yeah, it's easy to. Of course, it's a little bit exotic for when we kind of like to explore this topic. So it's a little bit exotic for us also, but not just exotic. It's also the part of our own heritage. So it's yeah. This topic, yeah.
Oh,
so this topic of referencing to post-Soviet or Slavic like symbols, it's quite popular these days. So, and sometimes people maybe do it without really connecting to it, or somehow just exploring the idea. But so we try to be very careful that we know what we do, and we know this context, and try to not just use it because of exoticism.
So speaking about exotic, I think maybe we can play out the last clip, and there is some questions that have been coming to chat. That
yeah, maybe we can also before the last chat, maybe you want to demonstrate our the cover of this album, which is called Süütä Mulumi. This is the song that you heard, and all these illustrations that we have are made by this guy. So it's so if you don't have a CD player or anything else, you can just get these things to look at the pictures. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so should we play this last clip and then we can focus on answering questions?
Yeah, the last clip is it's called Käpapuu, which is the name. It's a kind of tree. If you go to forest and you are able to push it over with your bare hand, then it was like maybe half a century ago. It was called Käpapuu, or like a tree, hand tree or something, and it meant that if you can push it over, then it's probably rotten and it's free. You can take it to your home and use it there. You don't have to pay for it. So we are thinking about that.
So you are within the theme of singing about trees. So we started with trees and we're ending with trees.
Sure.
Wood and food.
Yeah.
Two topics.
Yeah, we mostly sing about either food or wood or sports.
Or love.
One song.
The Puuluup at the light and now man. Ego bo asa bo.
My name is Puuluup, Puuluup. My name is Puuluup, Puuluup.
I've been walking in the long time. I keep walking in the mud, in the balloon fine, and the balloon fine. I keep walking in the sun and mountain. I never walk that long. You give me music, a chance to put in a balloon fine, and the balloon fine. I give me punches to munch it, to walk in a balloon, pipi supernebo. I give me walking the balloon, you balloon fine, and the balloon fine.
Kuu paistis peale, kui ma korjasin mustikat. Kuu paistis mu pea peale, kui ma korjasin mustikat. Kuu kukkus mu pea peale, kui ma korjasin mustikat. Kuu tuul suur kuumi peatuul.
I'm a man, the been in the wonderful man at the candle. I've been the gunman, the battle fine, in the battle fine. Даешь вопрос, меня любишь или не любишь, а мне с тобой тепло. Увеличительное стекло делано из дерева, просто из дерева.
So there are several questions in Estonian. Guys, I'm sorry. I can't read these. But Marko and Rama, maybe you will be able to read them. So there's, I'll read the questions in English. And if someone wants to speak, then you can also raise your hand and ask your question in person. So there's a question, what comes first, the music or the lyrics? And also there's a question about how did you develop your playing techniques? How informed were you by historical ballad harp traditions?
Yeah, well, mostly the music comes first, I guess.
Sometimes some lyrics comes together. If we start to jam, start to create our songs, so sometimes some topics comes.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, in sense, we start jamming, improvising, and some ideas. Lyrics is also part of that. So you can there are songs that are just improvisation and record it as that, and you can. And then we have also songs where we create first music and some phrases, and then add some lyrics. But yeah, the first thing is more typical Puuluup, I guess. Yeah. And the second question was about traditional playing technique. How is it? How are we influenced?
How did you develop?
Yeah. Okay, we started when you start playing this instrument, then you start with learning. Mostly, you start with learning traditional tunes, and so a lot of the players are actually violin players. So that's why I guess they use this inside of the fingers, but we were both influenced by a few other musicians who played this instrument in a very cool way, and we tried to play as well as they are playing. So and that's how we started, so it's if you just play it, you practice it, and you will develop something, because it's not like a very widespread instrument that would have like a very common playing technique. So it was like this medieval instrument, and always every master made a little bit different instrument and played it a little bit differently. So it's the development has not stopped. We can continue with this and invent new techniques. Use these microphones that we have here, so we can add some pizzicato and knocks and all these kind of things.
And also with bow is very different techniques, how to use the bow, how to kind of make some small accents during the playing. Since I like very much like kind of this playing chords with this kind of very
and it's very it's only him who play in the world, like the one only person who plays it like that. So it's or now we have some people who are admiring his style and try to also play like that, right?
So all good players has little bit developed own way. There is no kind of proper way,
unified way to play properly. Of course, you have to think about not to be like very you have to be relaxed and be able to play many years. That's of course important.
So you have already answered the question of whether you made your instruments yourself or they were made for you, right?
Yeah, we have made also our own instruments.
There are one instruments which are made by myself, one white one on the chair.
Yeah. And I have also made one which is very similar to that in a masterclass led by this Finnish master Rauno Nieminen. But he just came to our concert and tell us that I will give you these instruments, please play on my instruments. They are like the best ones. and well, so what to do now? We have to play with them.
But these are boots. Keys instruments are best.
Yeah, it looks very simple, but actually this
they are simple.
They are simple, but this master who made this have made hundreds of these, and is like very systematic and instrument player, and uses all this knowledge about the violin playing, violin building, and so it looks like a traditional, typical Wormsy instrument, but the sound is it's different. It's much more clear and strong and deep. So it's developing. Mm-hmm.
There's a question: how do you balance tradition and innovation? Do you have fans who would prefer more traditional repertoire, or do you find a mixture of new and old is more compelling, even for folk music audiences? Comes from our medievalist musicologist, Mary Caldwell.
Yeah, that's very good topic. We are extremely lucky, I guess, because if you start playing a traditional instrument, and then it's very common that people start to say, "Hey, that's not right. The authentic way to do it. You should do something differently." But this first thing is that this tradition, it was dead. So you can't say exactly what is the only right way to play it. And secondly, we are so far from the tradition. Like when we are playing this kind of music, it's clear that we are not telling that, look, we are playing the traditional talharpa tunes and talharpa playing way. So we have been. It's the idea is that we are more like we are missionaries of talharpa in Estonia, and people. This instrument was not common in Estonia in 90s, and also like 10 years ago. Like most people didn't know how it looks like and how it is played. So now,
but now they know.
Now more and more people know. Yes, yeah. So that's why I think our position is to bring this instrument to popularize it, and not to tell that we are not going to say that to people that this is the traditional tune or traditional way to play it. It's obvious that it is not. What if you so
Trauno telling is this backside of the finger.
That's
right traditional way to play it.
Yeah, but he's also not so much telling it to us, but to the players who will play more traditional repertoire. And and we do enjoy playing traditional repertoire also. So there are these gatherings of talharpa players like twice in a year, and then we all play these traditional tunes, and also our task is to widen this repertoire and to demonstrate like the new ways to use the instrument, so it wouldn't be just narrowly connected with the old repertoire, so that it would be taken as a normal instrument. Yes.
Even the old repertoire is very nice and very it's not easy to play it at all. Some very tricky songs and very kind of way.
Yeah, it's good. It's important that you know the tradition, I guess, and so you know where does it come from. So after that, you can start playing with.
What I love about around this instrument in Estonia is the community, that all players, active players in Estonia, in Finland, knows each other. They are very very connected each other. All camps which everybody knows, and it's kind of small family. Even that we sometimes even between after the camps we have some jam sessions even sometimes.
Yes. And wherever we go, whatever time of the day or night, when we meet somebody, then it's very typical that Ramo will start this mission of teaching talharpa, and some people from Hungary or France, or they get excited and come
it's
to Estonia
many times.
Yes, so that's our position. So we are not having any serious trouble with this folk or tradition or modern or authentic questions. So
So a couple more questions from chat, and then we have a live questionnaire. So, but first I just want to go by the order. How is music, another music question, how is music generally notated for your instruments, and what notes are your strings tuned to? And also a non-musical question, I have to ask, why the suits?
We start from tunings. Tunings usually the Estonian kind of traditional, these instruments which they started to build in 90s, 80s, 90s, first revival instruments. Then they used D, A, E, these 3 strings, and then sometimes they doubled bass. The bass was 2 Ds, D, 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 then A and E. So now we have this kind of quint tuning still, and I put B, so I have totally quint tuning. And Marco's instrument is same, but he has one lower, so he has G under, so we kind of share. No, he has from down G, D, A, and E. So these 3 and his 3 is same. I have more up and he has more down. But sometimes the players, when they play traditional repertoire, put even like D, A, or E, A, or something like this, that because the very tradition of the bridge, it was totally flat, so the bow touched all strings together.
Yeah, and the bass strings were mostly as bourdons. The melody was not played there.
Yeah, melody was played in the first string, and then the other strings doing this bourdon. But we little bit make it more circle, that we can play also different chords and different kind of just short. There's even difference between Finland and Estonia. Finnish instruments goes a little bit more circle than Estonian instruments state the more flat pitch. We do techniques also in this.
And the suits are, well, when you visit all sorts of events, then very often there is catering, and we have suits so we can like go inside and look like we are part of this catering service and get some food. And also we, especially when we have this in monitors, we can be taken as security guards, so it also opens a lot of doors for us. And yeah, so I think that's a very, very practical working costume for us. Yeah.
Sulandume nagu töölisteks.
Yes. We merge in, yeah.
Yes.
And the only place where it didn't work so well, like in Estonia, if you go to folk festivals, it's and you wear this kind of costumes, it's quite different from the other performers. But the only place where it didn't raise any attention was in Luxembourg, where there are a lot of European bureaucrats and bank people who work in banks and who always wear suits. So we were like very common Luxembourgian. Yeah, but
so Pauline, or I don't know, how do we give you?
We can unmute.
Okay.
Or ask to unmute, and then we will hear Pauline speaking.
Okay, I just asked to unmute, but nothing is happening.
Okay, so for Puuluup, which Estonian films and film directors have inspired you? Or I suppose in Estonian, or like my imperfect Estonian, millised Eesti filmid ja filmirežissöörid on sind inspireerinud?
Thank you for the question. So
suur aitäh.
Do you want to?
Well, it's
for me, it's been very. As I grew up in Soviet Union time, and all films for actually Soviet Union time filmed, and also cartoons. So I grew up kind of this aesthetic from this. Of course, this time the how to describe it? That was very kind of checked a very big control about what you can tell and what your message are. That was illegal to tell like I'm free or something this kind of sentences was cut it out from some films and that's why there wasn't so big background for action. It was more kind of silent, and somebody went somewhere to drink tea, and all the background music was very professional players, very well composed, and all this music which came from this time. I still love these Estonians. Composer which did many cartoons. This is my favorite still, is Sven Grünberg and some even Russian Edward Artemyev and
yeah, I think that in Soviet Union this music for cartoons was like a possibility for composers to really experience to express themselves more freely. This part of music was not so much controlled, and so you can find very nice soundtracks for cartoons and also movies from the Soviet period. Yeah. So, but generally, yeah, I think we have seen all Estonian films, and they all have influenced us because there are maybe few 2 or 3 or 4 maximum movies that come out in every year in Estonia. So it's we don't have so much possibilities for that, as there is only 1.3 million people in Estonia, and yeah, so they have, I think, all influenced us, but and a lot of music has gone mostly from the Soviet period movies that has been becoming also part of like a folk music, even you can say that people in their social gatherings or in sauna or when they get a little drunk, they start to sing very typically some songs from Estonian movies from 70s or 80s. Yeah.
Well, there's a question about humor. Alina, do you want to just ask it yourself?
Sure. I am not the only one who noticed, of course. In your videos, there's this undercurrent of subdued, beautiful, sometimes self-deprecating, sometimes just directed at no one in particular humor. And I'm just not even sure how you can design for that when creating a video, and how do you come up with things that are humorous, or are they just conceived and then turn out to be humorous? How does it work? Yeah,
when we started, we didn't mean to be like to explore humor like purposefully, but we gave our first gig and people started to laugh, and after the second gig even more, and then now we know that okay, the humor is definitely part of our live shows, and when we do videos, it's just very enjoyable process, and somehow the way we express ourselves, it's kind of maybe difficult to imagine that we would do just a very sad video without no humor at all. Maybe we should try. But yeah, so it's not a conception that the concept that we need to do it here like in that way, but it just comes. Yeah. it's the way we.
When we started and we became a little bit popular, one of our friends didn't see our live, and when he came to the first time our live, when we was playing already a couple of years, and he said, told after concert us that I didn't know that you are you have so lots of humor there, that you are so funny. And Marko answered that we didn't know also.
We didn't know either. Yeah.
Yes, we didn't know either. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it was life was very hard for us, so we need to laugh about it. Yes.
So there's a lot of praise and thank you in the chat. I will not repeat it, so you can read it later. By the way, we are going to, we're recording this event, so it will be put on our channel of Russian East European. Our is Russian East European Studies Department, so you can refer your friends who have missed this event there. And I think that we've kept our musicians, and I don't see any coming questions. So we've kept them for a long time, and they probably have Zoom fatigue in addition to the fact that it's actually quite late in Estonia.
Yes, but we have enjoyed a lot our first session in US, I guess. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, so you actually, there were plans for you to go on a big tour, and you were supposed to come to US on a traditional tour. So unfortunately, this is a sad substitute.
Yeah, but hopefully at the fall, hopefully already this year, we will be maybe, we can't say yet for sure, but hopefully we will be at the fall there. So. And if not this year, then next year.
Next year, at least.
Well, thank you very much. It was really lovely, enjoyable. I see a lot of hearts and clapping hands in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, but it's there.
Thank you very much.
So thanks a lot, and maybe next time we'll be able to receive you in person.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.